What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're working on this Trane package heat pump. The original call was that the system would randomly stop blowing air, and then after a while it would start blowing air again. So I came up here, I'm checking the amps on the indoor blower motor, and they're jumping all over the place. So that's kind of a red flag. The other red flag is that the maximum amp rated is 6.9. It's not that hot out. It's only like 100 degrees. I should probably rephrase that and say it's not that hot out for central Arizona. But because probably for the rest of the country that's actually pretty hot. So anyways, it's a red flag to see the amps jump around like that. And the other red flag, of course, is the fact that it's an X13 motor. So the original, variable speed, or the original attempt to do variable speed was the X13 motor, right? So my diagnosis is that after a significant runtime, it's probably overheating, and then it shuts off, and then it cools down, and then starts to work again. So we're gonna go ahead and replace it, and I'm gonna show y'all how to do that. Trane made it very easy to replace their motors on this particular unit. Ugh, come on. Replacing of an indoor blower motor is not necessarily the hardest thing on package units, but it's especially easy on this one, so I'll show y'all how to do it. First of all, of course, pull the power on this bad boy. Then for new technicians, because this is not for homeowners, right? I'm not recommending a homeowner do this. For new technicians though, you want to take a picture of the wiring so that you don't get it wrong later. And because there are two blues, I like to isolate the blue, right? So, and there's actually two reds as well. So what I'll do, if you can see right now, is I'll pull all the wires from the bottom, and I will put tape on them or a zip tie temporarily to isolate them and be able to distinguish them from the top ones. So because one is actually the low voltage side and the other is the high voltage side, so very important that you do not get those mixed up. So let me do that real quick. Get my tape out. Will I ever rock the GoPro, the $400-500 GoPro set that I have at home just sitting in the cabinet? Probably not. Okay, no, I can't do this with one hand, so hang on. Okay, so now that I got the tape on there, right, to isolate them, then we undo the wiring for the top portion, which I believe is the low voltage side. Yes, it is. And then after that, we loosen one screw here. I think this is the first time I've done a video of this, but if it isn't, but by now, if I can't remember, it's probably because it's been a little while. So it's time to do an update anyways. So then you have to undo these wires here to the run capacitor. And again, you can take a picture if you want, so that you remember, especially if you're a new technician. I would definitely recommend that. You are gonna have to cut this zip tie right here, so find something to cut that with. Alrighty. Okay, cut this bad boy. Or just pry it up. You can pry it or you can cut it. It doesn't really matter. Just gotta pry it out of the way. So there, I pried that little zip tie out of the way. Then you're gonna pull this bad boy out, this whole assembly, just enough so that you're able to loosen up this ground right here. You're saving all the screws, by the way, right? Then after that, essentially this whole assembly can come out. Should be able to do it with just one hand. Okay, looks like we got another ground right here that we need to undo. That one looks like it's a 1/4 inch though, so let me do that real quick. Okay. It's a little bit of a pain. Come on. Looks like I may need an extension, but for the moment, we're just gonna have to cut this bad boy off. And we'll have to splice it later on. Because I don't think this is like a weird screw. It doesn't fit in there, and it may actually go the whole length. It's the first time I noticed one of those, actually. Okay, so now we got this whole thing out. You can put it somewhere where you're a little bit more comfortable working. I like to put it on top of the unit before I go to the next step, which is to remove or to loosen the set screw with one of these bad boys. All right, so we turn it on its side here for a second. Okay, there's a set screw right here, right? We need to loosen that bad boy up. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Can be pretty tight on there, it just really depends. There it is. It's meant to be tight too, by the way. Okay, loosen that bad boy up. See if the wheel slides on the shaft. It looks like it does. If not, you do have to sand this down if it's got too much rust on there. But this one seemed like it's gonna come out. And then we essentially loosen up these 4 bolts. So we got these 4, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we loosen these bad boys up, which I'm gonna have to do with 2 hands. But you loosen that up, and essentially this whole assembly slides right out. And it's very important that you look at where this harness is on the assembly, because if this ends up being in the backside later, you don't pay attention, you know, you won't be the wires will not reach. So very important that you keep that on the same location when you put it back. So let me loosen these up and then I'll be right back. Okay, so pulled that bad boy out. Here it is. Now the next step essentially is we have to save and reuse this bracket. Okay, we need to reuse it. So we'll undo this screw right here. Okay, mount this on the new motor, which, let me go pull it out of the packet so you can see it. Okay, so here's the new motor, right? And obviously this is the old one, but what I was going to try to tell you, it's very important, is that you can bust out the tape measure, you can do whatever you need to do, but you need to, when you put the bracket, you need to put it on again in a very similar location to where the old one was. Okay, so these are very similar in height. This thing has to be at a very similar height as well. Okay, because if not, again, you are gonna struggle. You'll probably have to do it all over again. All right, just remember to put this at the same height as you're doing it here, and in similar, what do you call that, in very similar location with the harness as well. All right, so essentially all you need to do is you loosen this bad boy, this screw. Again, I'm gonna have to use 2 hands. Sorry y'all, it is what it is. One of these days I will get the GoPro, I promise. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I don't know I don't know when, but I'm gonna do it, alright? But for the moment, I was actually able to do that with just 1 hand. Sometimes you gotta hold down the, you know, this screw, but not this time. But anyways, to get this bracket off, it is gonna be a little tricky because then the legs want to move on you. But there is a groove, you see that? There is a groove on this bracket, on these legs, on the bracket, that you do need. The groove there does have to sit right there, right on that lip of the bracket. Okay, it can't be up high, it can't be sticking way down low like this. You know, the little lip or the groove has to be on there correctly. Sure. It's got to be kind of like that, right? Just like that. And then you go ahead and tighten it. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. Okay, so there it is. Got the legs on there. Again, very important that they sit on the little groove there, and all of them have to sit on that groove right there and right there. And then you tighten that down real snug. Okay, so now essentially we do reverse engineering. All right, this whole process is actually reverse engineering, and we pretty much just, you know, go ahead and feed the shaft through there and mount it on all the four holes there with the same things the same screws we took off, same screw and washer. And then we're gonna, you know, tighten it in the bolt on the back side. So let's go ahead and mount it on there first. All right, so there it is. There's the motor mounted. And you remember this wire is the one I chopped earlier, and they now conveniently located it, or yeah, put it in a better location for better accessibility. Good thing they did that. But anyways, so that other wire is not going to be used anyways, because they give you a new one, so we don't even have to splice it. We just use a new one. But that goes mounted, or that was the screw that grounded here by the capacitor from earlier. You'll see if you watch, or you go back and watch the video. But yeah, so that's it. And then remember, now we turn it around, turn this bad boy around, right? And on the shaft, 2 important things. The set screw has to be tightened down on the flat portion. Oh, come on, there we go. Has to be on the flat portion of the shaft. Okay, I've seen people do this wrong more than once, and it's a very simple mistake to make, but you need to screw it down on the flat portion of the shaft. Also, with that being said, the wheel has to be in or out at a position where it can spin freely and does not grind, right? So if it's too far this way, you hear it grind, you hear it rub, that's not good. So put it at a location in deep enough, but not too deep that it's going to rub on the back portion. So just make sure that it spins freely after you tighten it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do that. Okay, this is that motor, or this is the wire I chopped off from the motor earlier. Came with a new one. So now we're going to go ahead and reinstall the assembly. And if you take a look here, this is not a very heavy motor and assembly, because it's made out of, the motor's metal obviously, but the assembly's plastic. So really this, oops, there we go, this on the bottom portion and the top portion have to slide inside of this groove, and on the back side has to go into that crease in there, right in there. Okay, and of course it lays partially right there. So let me see if I can do this with one hand. It's fairly light. See that right there? I'll try to get it on video. There it is. It's slowly going. There we go. Come on. There it is. So you should not be able to teeter it, you know, sideways or up and down, you know, not very much wiggle room. Okay, and then especially after we put this screw, which is the next step, it really shouldn't move on you very much at all. So put that screw on. Come on, dang it. There we go. Put that bad boy on right in here. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot too. A very important part was I need to put this screw in first. Remember this bad boy? Yep, it's gonna go right there. And I actually do that with it partially out a little bit. You could get an L bit, an L or 90 adapter bit. You could do that, which I do have one, but I don't think I should. I don't think I need to, I should say. Come on. There it is. Nice and snug. So now we can push it in there. Again, it shouldn't be a huge amount of wiggle room or a huge amount of play in that at all. Only a little bit, because this screw right here that I'm about to put in is not in place yet. But after you put it in place, you definitely don't want it to move on you very much at all now. Yeah, there's very little play. Okay, so now we do the wiring process, right? And if you took pictures, this is where they will come in handy. So you pretty much do that portion. And so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and again, these are where the pictures came in handy, because yes, you know, if you're skilled enough to look at the diagram, you could definitely figure it out later. But why use the time? It's hot out here, you've got more calls to do. Why not just, you know, use the tape like I did to isolate them, and then you know, just plug them in where your picture said to plug them in, and you'd be good to go. So I also did these, remember these on the capacitor. Make sure you put those where they need to go. And now it's time to start this bad boy up. So let's go ahead and plug it in. All right, plugging it in. And I am going to close the door on here. But when it kicks on, you know, very important that you don't hear it grind or nothing like that, right? You don't want it to be grinding. But let's put the door on. Put a screw just to hold it in case we need to open it and make an adjustment. And then we just sit and wait for it to kick on, or you could just jump it as well. All right, y'all, so there it is. All right, so let's see, a lot more consistent in the amps. That's a good sign. It's not jumping around, you know, a full amp or anything like that. That's pretty much it, y'all. Well, as always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.